The overall concept is that your brain is trying to imagine. Boom, that's it. So many times when we're writing, we're forcing it, whatever it is, and a lot of times it looks like fragmented thoughts. Now, of course, writing is a work in progress every time, meaning you have to form sentences and then they're kind of jagged and you got to edit them and find where the punctuation is supposed to go, pull out some words, put in some new words, right? It's a process. Setting aside the editing concept, I'm talking about the core of the stories is often fragmented when we force it. In contrast, and it's a hard exercise, but in contrast, your brain is trying to imagine stories. So here's the exercise. All right, get ready. You're ready to put your brain in this brain space. Then you're going to have to come back. Well, not come back. You're going to have to pause the video or finish the video and attempt it. But here is the brain space. First thing to do is you let your mind make some noise. Your brain is so cluttered with so much junk. And I'm not saying your priorities are junk. I'm just saying there's just so much. There's so much. And even when good things pile up, we start to call it junk because we don't know how to distinguish it anymore. So let your brain be filled with noise for just a couple seconds, maybe even a couple minutes. Let the dust settle, the figurative dust settle. Sweep aside everything that you already know has to be dealt with. You know, you got your bills, you got your relationships, you got your car, you got some more bills. Let those go for a moment. Those are going to be there when you come back. They're not running away. So, they won't disappear. Don't worry. And then let some image form. Whatever the image is, this is where you want to start writing when you do this exercise. Capture the image. So the image that just popped into my brain, for example, is a spiky castle in the distance reaching up into an actually bright blue sky. The castle itself is dark and ominous. Now, I'm just using that sample just to show you that you can start right away. But as I continue with this expression, this example, this exercise, I'm not going to give you my ideas anymore because I don't want you to get distracted. So you start with some image and you just type that down. If you're writing, you write it. If you're typing, you type it. I prefer to type. You type that down. Don't worry too much about what it means, why it is. Don't even worry too much about sentence structure, punctuation, spelling. Just capture that first image. And here, so that's kind of easy. We can dump out images all day, but here's where the magic begins. Your brain is urging something to happen. And your guts, your anxious guts, your sort of imposter syndrome guts are going to recoil at it for every reason. Either you're going to say, oh, it's too cliche, or it's too boring, or I don't know how to say that, or I don't know how to write that, or what a waste of my life, or I have to get back to my bills. This is where the magic can be activated. You can activate magic. The first image pops up and you have your setting, your starting, your scene. And then your brain will do something. It might zoom in, it might pan out, it might pull in some characters or creatures or a catastrophe. Who knows what's happening? I don't know what's happening in your brain, but you do. And you need to capture that. This skill, and if you haven't practiced this skill before, it won't feel so smooth, but I'll tell you some extra magic later. Hold on. So stick with this image. You have an image in your brain that popped up. That's the first image, the starting point. And then something moved, or somebody said something, or something ridiculous happened. And your guts say, oh, it doesn't make sense, or it's not good enough, or it's not witty enough, or it's just too silly. Ignore your guts and just type it. Whatever happens next in your brain is looking for a story. It's looking for a scene, a setting. Let it. Affirm your own imagination by typing down that stuff. And I'm closing my eyes right now because I'm trying to let images trickle through my brain. And you should, not when you're typing, but you should when you're formulating these images, these stories, you should close your eyes and let it come forth, it being your story, your setting, your action, whatever it is, because it doesn't have to be your destiny. It's just an exercise to train letting your imagination go where it will. You got the scene. Something moves in. Some words are said. Put some direct quotes in there. Something else occurs. Even if the scene jumps drastically, let it. Or if the scene lingers in your first setting, let it. And if something that defies physics happens, let it. And if you weren't expecting a different genre to appear, let it. Now the let it is active. You have to be typing these things. And again, loosen your grip on sentence structure, punctuation, spelling. You can come back to that after this exercise has gone through, has gone out of your system. But the key is to keep capturing the general form of these scenes and images as they flow through your brain. I mean, I could ramble on through my own imagination, what the scenes that are popping up in my head, but the work that you can do is follow through that camera inside your brain that's going somewhere and just follow it as diligently as you can. And here's the sort of follow-up magic that occurs when you do this like a billion times. When you do this practice of telling your brain, I mean, it's a weird sort of like a metaphysical, who knows what, hoodoo stuff. When you, in a roundabout way, tell your brain it's okay to imagine, your brain will start to be more and more comfortable. When you tell yourself that you can imagine, when you let your imaginative being imagine, it'll start doing it more confidently. So the first few times that you do this exercise, it might be some not hack and slash, but just like a hodgepodge of a story where you're like, oh, I have a castle, and then there's a dog and a spaceship, and then there's my ex-wife, and then there's the tax man, and then I'm at Starbucks. Like who knows what chaos might come up in the first few times you perform this exercise. But I want you to anticipate diligently. I want you diligently to anticipate the magic that comes up later, and the later magic is your brain will start to find some smoother rhythms. It'll start to offer you crisp images, vivid settings or characters. It'll start to form plots for you. That sounds kind of weird because you are, like it's your brain, you're doing the writing. But your imagination wants to create stories. It wants to hear stories and tell stories. And they don't have to, so like I favor fiction, fantasy, sci-fi. Your stories don't have to be fiction. But your brain wants to tell stories to make sense of the world. And sometimes the stories are nonfiction. They're what happened. But you still have to practice writing it. And your brain wants to lay out something elegant. And it takes practice like a muscle. It's got to be trained, exercised. But this particular technique, I think, is more powerful than anybody imagines. Where you figuratively, literally at first, you close your eyes and let the scene pop up. You capture that scene in words, on paper, or on whatever document you're typing, and as diligently as you can, you keep following your brain, your inner vision wherever it goes. And I'll say it again, I can't overstate the power of practicing that so many times, to the extent that when you sit down to write, whatever it is, even if you have an image in mind already, or if you just want to let something spontaneously pop out, your brain will have, your imagination, your willpower, your courage will have the strength to do that. And you'd be surprised. You will be surprised at the creative stuff that comes out of you. So, let me summarize it once more, then you can, the video's done, you go do it. Close your eyes, let the first image come up, type it down as fast as you can, and then listen to your brain. Listen to the images that pop up, and follow those via writing or typing as obediently as you can, listening to yourself as it comes up with yourself coming up with a story or a setting or a memory, whatever it is. You follow it. You practice this a billion times, and you will see, before you reach actually accountability, you'll see the power of training yourself to hear your own voice. All right, now go try it.